Alright, I'm here with the original salty shellback of the family. My brother, Chief Boats. I'm gonna tell you a story. Go ahead.
Well, the story about the vending machines, the coffee machines in Japan is actually we just got there, and we was waiting for our ship. It was, it was out on pack or something. So me and this other guy, two brand spanking new, got to Japan, nobodies, and can't speak a word of Japanese. Decided to go out, and venture out, see what they have out there. So we got out there, and everything went fine. We walked around, everything's nice and stuff. And it was cold. It wasn't that cold, but it was cold. So we're like, hey, let's go get some coffee. So I'm like, okay. So we got to this train station, and they got all these vending machines out there, right? So we saw the one with the picture of the coffee cans and stuff like that. So we got, hey, there's the coffee. So, but they're all in Japanese. So I'm like, well, which one is it? So he's like, oh, the red one, the one with the red lights. Red's always been hot. So I'm like, yeah, makes sense. So we put that little, yens in, pushed the button, it came out and picked it up, and it was ice cold. So I'm like, man, maybe the machine is broken or something because it's not heating it up. And he's like, well, maybe it's backward because this is Japanese, so it's backwards from us. So let's try the blue one because, it's backward. So I'm like, okay, so we put the coins in, pushed the blue one, it came out ice cold. So I'm like, well, now what? And they go, I don't know, but, we got cold coffee, so might as well just drink it. And then, so we end up drinking the blue coffee. Well, they had two more on the other side that also have the red and the blue lights, but the pictures were different, right? So we're like, well, just give it a try. So we push, both of them, and we end up with 4 cold coffee. We couldn't find hot coffee for our lives depends on. So we took the cold coffee, drank it, and went back to the base. And then the next day, we saw this one guy that I guess he'd been there for a while waiting for a ship. So we asked him, we're like, hey man, what's those vending machines out there? Which one is the hot coffee, right? And he's like, well, mostly they're cold, because the Japanese people doesn't drink hot coffee. And I'm like, well, they have the red lights and the green lights and what have you. And then we bought all 4 of them last night, and they're all cold. And he's like, oh yeah, because if you drink it, you'll realize one is black with sugar, one is black and sugars and milk, and the other one was something else,
Just
so,
milk only?
yeah, there was all different flavors, but, none of them are cold, or none of them are hot, so I'm like, well, okay, So then we realized that the Japanese drink hot tea, but iced coffee.
So did you ever find a hot tea machine?
No, because, you just go into the...
Oh, they don't sell it in the vending machine.
Yeah, they don't sell them in vending machine. Well, I think they do now, but I'm not. Back then we couldn't. Back then it was just iced coffee, and that's all we lived with. But it's alright. Coffee is coffee. And oh yeah, it's just Japan is really a great place to live if you could afford it. Of course now, last time I was there was 2004. It has changed a lot since 1981, the first time I got there. I don't like it as much as I used to. However, it's still better than most places that I've been to. But back then it was great because I would walk around all the times and not knowing Japanese, but you go to the shop and you look, and the cashier sitting way back in the corner. Sometimes you gotta call to find them. Whatever you want to buy, you take back there and you pay for it. If you don't, you leave. There's no shopliftings, no cameras, no what have you. And I remember one time I went to some little town outside of Yokosuka, and I couldn't remember the place. I took the train and I got there and I got lost. And I couldn't find the train station, so I go back. So I walked around and I saw this one house that had the little gate open. So I went in, and I went in, and of course, I'm like, hello, anybody home, and trying to ask the direction. But then the door was open, so I went inside the house, and I got to the little step, and I knew better than, wearing shoes into the little home. So I stand right there and I just yell, hey, hello, anybody home? And this lady came out, and she started running off Japanese and stuff, and of course my looks, they all may assume I'm Japanese or something. But I told her, I said, hey, I'm lost, I need to find train station, And so she showed me what the train station was, and actually I was just on the other side of it. And it's just, I couldn't, but the thing is, they leave the house open, and anybody, could go in and steal whatever. And
do they have like the traditional like wax paper doors and stuff, or did they have like regular wooden doors?
Well, some homes, the wooden doors is the outside. Yeah, they and I think that's not the security purposes, but it's just for insulation. But inside the home, then yeah, they would still have the paper type, But on the outside, like your windows and stuff like that, then there'll be wood and stuff. And of course now they got brick homes and stuff like that. But one thing I realized though, I realized is they like solar power. A lot of homes over there, and I can't say, percentage because I don't know. But as me going through the train and I'm just looking at, over, and I could say that half the homes that I see would have solar panel up on the top. And a friend of mine actually, he told me that he have 2 panels up on his roof, and he was saving electricity that at the end of the month he would sell them back, or the government would buy it back to, so I mean, I don't fully understand how that works, but basically he's saving a lot of money, and well, at that time they don't run, ACs or whatever, but they do use the water heater, because most Japanese homes are small, right? And they got this square bathtub. That's what I call it, because this is actually square. You can't lay in it. You just sit in it, and you fill the water up to your neck. Yeah. So normally they fill that up, and then they use the heat to heat it up, and they wash off. They go in there, they soak, for a certain amount of time.
I remember you told me it was like really hot. It was like 120 degrees or
right.
something.
And then after they soak for a certain time that that's they feel comfortable or whatever, they comes out and then they rinse with cold water. But I tried it, and I tell you what, you sleep like a baby because it relaxes you for some reason. I guess it's the cold water wakes up your pores and your skins or whatever, and oh yeah, you sleep really good. But yeah, that's how Japanese normally shower over there. And then they got these bathhouses, these bathhouses that's is almost, to me, it's almost like a mall. Yeah, because some big city like Tokyo, Tokyo and stuff like that, they have these big, huge bathhouses that you comes in. They have movie theaters. They got actually place for you to sleep, restaurant, playground for the kids, and and you spend a whole day there. You pay one set price, right? And then you go in and you want to take your shower,
How much? Like in the U.S. maybe like 20, 30 bucks or 50 or?
I couldn't remember. It's probably about 20,
okay.
But then this is back in 2004, 2003, right?
But it was affordable. It was like a day out at amusement park or something.
Yeah. The family goes, and you just turn the kids loose because they they knows where they have to go. They know where the movie's at, where the food's at, where the
They
game
don't worry
room's
too much
at.
about kidnapping there, do they?
No, not really. And you know, actually, the kids in Japan, they're pretty independent.
Yeah.
They go to school, they do things. You know, they pretty
I
much.
noticed, like when I was in Switzerland. I mean, last time I was in Switzerland was 2011, and even then, like I remember going to work and taking the public transit to work, and there'd be like 5-year-olds getting on the bus without their parents. You know, they'd have their little, knit caps and mittens on and stuff like that, and they just get on the bus and get off at the school. Nobody bothers them. So it's definitely an American thing where we feel like we have to watch our kids every second until they get to school.
I think so, because even in Japan, yeah, you go on a bus. You go on a train, and kids, they go to schools and stuff, and they ride those trains, and of course I don't watch them, but I think the parents buy these these monthly tickets for them, and they just go and they just go to school, they do their things, and they come home, and as far as adult supervision outside of the house, I don't see that much,
Yeah. Well, my battery's about to die, so I'll have to come back for another story.
All right. But yeah, it's really, Japan is